go over what I mean by rounding logs, because a lot of people ask, we have a layout of logs, what it means to round them up and clean them up, because logs are naturally round, you know, so why would you need to round something that's already round? So we'll go over that here in just a little bit. We've got a pretty good layout here behind us. Well, lots of changed, especially with the weather in the last 24 to 48 hours. You know, Monday and Tuesday, it was pretty cool, a little windy, mist and rain, gray skies. Yesterday morning it started out pretty rainy here on the job site. Turned off to be sunny and about 70. Today it's already warming up. It's supposed to be a high of 85 today, and the wind's blowing pretty hard out of the south-southeast. So luckily we don't really have much cutting to do. So next week the weather's supposed to kind of turn bad. They're saying a lot of rain, cold weather, which it could turn off to be another long, wet, cold, miserable fall and winter and spring, and make logging kind of slow. But I like to think that we're pretty prepared for it with the tracked equipment. If it does come to that, we may not break any production records, but we'll still be productive. So let's go over this log pile, but first let's go drag a few trees. Wind's not in our favor today, but I think we can get it down with no trouble. Water gaps there right behind Dad. The reason I didn't cut that the other day, I thought it was leaning awful hard to the north fence there. So we'll see if we can pull her on over. Well, I totally messed that up. I meant to get the fall. I didn't even have to pull it. Laid out. Find a good place to put them here. I can't tell you how many times I've been to a log deck of someone else's and seen just pieces of wood end trimming scattered out across the deck area. That always kind of bugs me a little bit. I like to leave things clean myself, and trying to be a good steward of the land and a representative of the forestry industry, I think it's important that we try to clean these places up the best we can to give ourselves and other loggers a good name, you know, because there's a lot of good loggers out there. There's a lot of loggers I have to compete with on a, you know, weekly basis, but they're still good guys. They're just out there trying to support themselves and their family as well. So I try to always leave my deck areas in good shape, and that's what we're doing right now. We're doing a little bit of cleanup. Gonna sweep this all up, pile these end trimmings, get them out of the field, and we'll run the bucket over this, give it a good once over, slick everything up. It'll look really good when we're done. That's much better. Alright, rounding logs. First, let's talk about the log pile here a little bit. I think the grand total on trees was 111 trees. Now, these trees, compared to the last 2 weeks, they're lacking in the size and the quality. They're still not a bad pile of logs by any means, but they're not going to run like the last 2 weeks, especially 2 weeks ago. Oh, the wind's bad. Anyway, I figured these logs were probably going to run average about 120 to 125 board foot per tree. Now, last week we ran a 175 board foot per tree average, and the week prior to that we ran right at 200 board foot per tree average. So when I figure timber, when I look at timber, I like to know what the trees are going to average footage-wise. This is how I come up with all my numbers and figures to buy timber and tell my landowners what their timber is going to put out. So basically, I like to know what my timber yields. So when we have a sale, I study those tickets. I study everything about it. I'm a big numbers guy. I love to crunch numbers. I love to know all about my volumes, my averages, my totals. Love to know everything about it because it's what helps me be a better logger. So rounding logs, this is something we probably started 9 or 10 years ago at least, if not longer. Now what it means to round logs, now naturally, you know, you go through, a tree's round anyway, right? You got round trees. Now, let's look at some logs real quick. So you've got a little butt cut here. It's round and it looks good. That's a good looking log. Well, just like this log here, this is a butt cut, but up here where we cut it off, it's had some things going on with it to make it kind of ugly. So what we do is we go through with the saw, we cut that stuff off and shave it just as close to the log as we can to kind of give it that round appearance. That way there's not a lot of stuff like this thing here, if I can kick it over. Not a lot of stuff like this hanging off the tree, because let's be honest, that just kind of makes it look bad. So you shave that off, makes it look a lot better. So a lot of the times on the logs we round, they're basically your top logs, your second, third, and fourth cut pieces. Sometimes on your butt cuts, just depends. Now, most of the time, logs like that, they're just a number 1, number 2 common lumber type log. Now, basically what that means, that's your lower grade lumber in logging and lumber terms. Like this piece here, we shave that off, makes it kind of have that good straight appearance to it. Put it on there, kind of made it not as pretty. Like I said, it's almost kind of a way to, the old expression, putting lipstick on a pig, but really it's not that though, because these logs, a lot of this stuff we're shaving off, it's stuff that's going to get, when they run it through the mill, it's going to get cut off and put through a grinder anyway, because it's not good for anything. And when you sell your logs are like anything. You know, appearance, you know, you got a good looking set of logs, they're going to bring good money. And I'm not ashamed to say that we demand a little bit more for our logs, just because we put a lot of time and effort in keeping them clean, keeping a good set of logs, keeping a nice layout. So yeah, we do. We usually fetch a little more for our logs, and but like I said, we kind of demand that. And more times than not, people are not afraid to give a little more for our logs. They know what they're getting. They can see everything. Everything's laid out nice and neat. Like I said, they're good looking logs. They're round. There's not a lot of excess stuff they're going to have to haul away or things like that. And at the same time, you can't ever really get these things 100% where you want them to be. You can get pretty close. Let's look at a couple logs here. These were double trees. Now what we did there, these had big flares coming off where we actually kind of split those logs. So on the doubles, you know, basically 2 trees coming up, or 1 tree coming up into 2, excuse me. So we'll cut that low to the ground still. Then we'll run a saw down that 3/4 of the way at least, and I'll pick it up with a skid steer, drop it, and split it. Well then, just like this here, I'll shave the excess off, and it just kind of makes that log look that much better. A lot of times it kicks those logs into a higher price bracket, guys. No joke. Here's a couple more good examples. This one here especially. You don't want them ugly flares hanging off of it. We almost got that one penciled back there. So the layout of your logs is pretty important, and the time and care you take into your logs is also important. There's guys that just cut logs, don't care nothing about it, send them in the way they are, and take what they get, and they're fine with that. I'm not that guy. I want every penny I can get out of my logs. I want it for my landowners, and I want it for myself. Like I said, when we put the time and effort into our logs, we get more out of them, bar none. No lie. I'll argue with people all day long about it. It's not a bad set of logs at all. It's just, like I said, compared to the last 2 weeks, it's nothing like what we have been cutting, but I'll sure take it any week. Not bad for about 2 days worth of cutting. Not to mention 2 days worth of cutting, dragging, and bucking. That's all of it right there. Dad and I really put the hammer down on it this week. I always like to get a good picture, overview of a log pile. I've got kind of I've got a drone in the works, so hopefully we'll be able to kind of get a little better video material here in the weeks or months to come with that drone once I kind of figure out how to use it. Guys, thank you so much. we will see you the next day or so. I've been slacking on the video making. Started to make one yesterday and just went to edit it last night because I edit my videos at night before I go to bed, and was not happy at all with the content, so I'm pretty particular about that stuff. So anyway, we'll make something soon. We'll probably touch on the hydraulic system on that 548 tomorrow. We'll kind of go over what was found on it. I know so many people are curious on it. Guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it. See you tomorrow. Hey guys, if you like what you see, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for all of our latest videos.